Now we come to the breakup of the First Triumvirate and then the breakup of the Republic. So senators like Cicero had been working on Pompey for some time to separate him from Caesar's influence. They recognized that Pompey came from a more conservative faction that supported the Senate. He was not necessarily a natural political ally for Caesar and could work with them. However, once Crassus dies, the level of suspicion between Pompey and Caesar reaches a point where it's intolerable. In the year 50, Caesar was summoned to return to Rome as a private citizen, and he decided that this would leave him vulnerable to trumped-up charges, and so instead he broke with the convictions of the Constitution and returned with his army, crossing the Rubicon, which is where that saying comes from. And so this was making a statement that he was now bringing an army to Rome as a consul. And so this shows you that the fabric of the Republic has now gone beyond repair. Pompey was caught unprepared and fled to Greece with the senators. A hallmark of Caesar's campaigns was moving quickly, more quickly than his opponents anticipated, and this campaign was no exception. So Caesar bringing his army to Rome, his army siding with him against the Republic, shows how this process that began with Marius, where we find the troops of the armies of Rome more aligned with their generals than with the Republic, it's now reaching its culmination. Caesar left his trusted subordinate Mark Antony in Rome and crossed west into Spain to subdue Pompey's followers there before following Pompey to Greece. So Pompey had these two bases of power, Greece and Spain, and Caesar was kind of stuck in the middle. But again, Caesar moving quickly is able to neutralize Spain. Mark Antony is loyal to Caesar. He resists temptations to go in on his own account or join the senators when Caesar left him. He remains loyal. Caesar returns. Again, they take the initiative. They cross the Adriatic and defeat Pompey at the Battle of Pharsalus. And Pompey never really seemed to have had his heart in fighting a battle against other Romans. And when he's defeated, he flees to Egypt and is beheaded on the orders of Ptolemy XIII, almost the last of the dynasty of Ptolemies. And Caesar was not pleased by this. He was not pleased by this because he wanted the opportunity to publicly pardon Pompey, to show his authority over him. And so he comes to Egypt. He deposes Ptolemy in favor of the Egyptian princess Cleopatra. And Caesar remains in Egypt for several months. And with Cleopatra, he has a son. And he enjoys being treated the way the Egyptians treated their rulers as gods. But this is very different from the way the Romans treated their rulers. They expected their rulers to be subordinate to the rule of law. And it gave a very bad impression back in Rome that he was an aspiring tyrant. Move on now to the next slide. When Caesar returned to Rome, he attempted to remain and to rule within the constraints of the Roman legal tradition. He forced the Senate to declare him dictator for life. So he's still keeping the office of dictator, but he's making the Senate do it. He's doing it for life instead of for 6 weeks. And now he tries to bring about the populist reforms. He renovates the city of Rome. He provides land for Roman veterans, so basically a pension plan of land that would enable them to be self-sufficient rather than living homeless in Rome. He tries to pacify the provinces. He tries to expand the Senate to include non-Italians, to make the Senate more of a representative body, less of a governing aristocracy. He also reforms the calendar and introduces the Julian calendar of 365 days. The new month, the month of July, was named in his honor. The reforms that Caesar carried out were not entirely successful, but they showed he was more efficient in responding to the challenges and the crises that the Romans were facing than the Senate had been. And so this is important to keep in mind for the future and the way Caesar is going to be remembered. Caesar had adopted a policy of tolerance towards his enemies, but in the year 44, 4 years after he came to power as dictator, a number of the senators, some of his former political opponents, stab him to death. And so this marks an end to Caesar's reforms and an end to his life. He had shown the failures of the Republic. He had revealed that the Republic was not able to survive, but he himself is not able to successfully carry out this transition. We move on to the next slide now and talk about the fallout from Caesar's assassination. What's interesting is that Caesar's assassins did not act secretly in any way. They expected that they would be praised as those who had delivered Rome from a tyrant, and that they were now returning Rome to its republican culture. Initially, this was the case, and initially even some of Caesar's closest friends were unwilling to oppose the assassins openly. However, according to the accounts that we have, this all changes with Caesar's funeral, where Mark Antony reads out Caesar's speech, and Caesar's will makes bequests to the Roman people, and we are told that the Roman people and Mark Antony are seized with rage against the assassins, and see Caesar as the true friend of the Roman people, or at least a better friend than the aristocracy of the Senate. So they rise up and they drive the assassins out of the city, and we have a new triumvirate formed that defeats the assassins, that's made up of Mark Antony, Caesar's great general, Lepidus, another trusted general, and Caesar's nephew Octavian, an important newcomer. He was only 18 years old, but he was Caesar's heir. And as Caesar's heir, he inherited Caesar's wealth, and he inherited the loyalty of his armies. So the second triumvirate is successful in defeating the assassins. Cicero is executed, and there's a prescription, which means the sort of reign of terror, where you make up a list of your political opponents who are going to be tried and probably executed. This is every bit as violent as Sulla's. Once the civil war was over, Antony received the eastern part of the empire, Octavian received the west, and Lepidus received Tunisia. So if you look up Tunisia on a map, you can see how badly Lepidus got shafted in this deal. And so now Antony and Octavian are going to try and divide the empire between them. And again, just as with Caesar and Pompey, unless they really trust one another, and they don't, eventually they're going to have to go to war, because no one wants to be the one who gets caught napping when someone tries to seize everything. And so initially it seems as though Antony has the advantages. He has the wealthier part of the empire. He's the more experienced general. However, Antony also inherits some significant challenges. One is the Parthians, who are a dangerous enemy who defeat Antony's army in a couple of battles. The other is Cleopatra. And Antony, like Julius Caesar before him, is overwhelmed by Cleopatra's charms. And in a stunningly imprudent ceremony, he declares himself king of the East. He declares that Caesarion, who is Caesar's child by Cleopatra, was Caesar's true heir. And at the same time, Antony is married to Octavian's sister. And so this is very politically unwise, because the Romans have this opposition to the idea of a king, and Antony's taken on a title. They have this suspicion about foreigners, and Antony is now seen as living this obscene kingly lifestyle with Cleopatra. And they also have this attachment to family, and Antony's living with Cleopatra, who seems like the definition of a homebreaker, at the same time as he's supposed to be married to Octavian. So this has a lot of initiative, a lot of Roman goodwill to Octavian, and he is able to defeat Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium, an important battle, significant because it secures Octavian's complete control of the Roman Empire. Antony and Cleopatra both committing suicide. We'll stop there, and we'll talk more about how Octavian is going to rule this new empire he's conquered in the next video.